So you start with your open PVSOL. The first page will give you your put in your project data.
Okay.
Whatever you put in here gets obviously pulled through the entire sheet.
I'll sit in that or something.
Where's the order? Project design. Putting in whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the details though.
Yeah, you can put in a project image if you want. Like you can put in. Next thing you do is you pick the country that you're in.
There's space for GPS coordinates as well.
Yeah, you can. What you can do is if you are. If you want to, you can click over here for climate data. And you can do climate data for a new location. You can create your own locations if you want to.
Okay.
List of the. And if you have climate data, which somebody else has done already, let's say you've got a company to go out and do climate data for you. They can make the form, right? Then you can import it.
From Meteor Norm, those guys, typically.
Not from Meteor Norm only, but because Meteor Norm has a certain file, so you can send the data of your weather station to Meteor Norm.
Yeah.
And they can make you a file which you can then import, yeah.
Okay.
Cancel this. Yeah, so it's Jan Smarts. Yeah, you can do your AC mains, whether it be single phase, three phase, depending on what you want to do.
We've got a 3-phase inside.
Yeah, we've got 3 phases inside. Right? You can do 3D design, but you can't do the 3D design unfortunately on this version because the server that it's on doesn't have the correct graphics card in order to do a 3D rendering.
We'll do that soon.
Okay, so then you can choose. Do you want to do a grid connected system, full feed in, net metering?
Yeah.
Or you can do a net battery system with net metering as well.
I think we need to do some training on all three, but not today.
Yeah.
At some other time.
So if you do grid feed in with full feed in, huh?
Yeah.
And this is your area, so you can say what area, you can name the section.
Sorry. Dis nie die easy box mini nie. Hulle het 'n groter een nou uitgebring. Wat 6 bar en 6000 liter kan doen. So R8,400 vir daai. Hy gaan vir my 'n proforma stuur. Dan moet maandag of Dinsdag. Soos weer?
Ja.
Hulle doen heating ook. Ja, hoe stel aan 'n pomp?
Okay.
Sean.
Dit is wat dit nie was.
Nee, ek ken hom daai kry. Sean is hy doen installasies en goed.
Okay.
Hy kom met daai fucking steam generation kakkers en daai tipe geysers en die steam generators vir die pompe gebruik. En om te kyk of ek 'n warmwaterpomp of 'n pomp kan kry wat warmwater seels kan maak. Ja, okay, so daarin is op pad. Ons gaan nog een stap nader.
Could have still got your flights there, but damn, I saw the price.
Yeah, if you fly Joburg, Maputo, Pemba, it's 5,000 or 6,000 rand.
Is it resume? Okay. So you pick your module, Santic Power, You pick the module that you want to use. In this case, which ours is a 305. Right? It's direct data. You must. So if you go on the coverage graphic, you can actually take the roof and say, like, this is the size of the roof and that's the amount of panels I'm putting on, and then they will work. Or this is the area you want to put it on, and they will work how many panels fit into that area for you.
Okay, so you can actually physically define the roof
Correct.
size.
So you can do a graphic roof image, and you
But
can.
will it work now without a 3D? Okay. Okay. Okay.
No, why is not pulled all the modules in? Huh? The one thing we must do is
It's quite nice if you've got Google dimensions
dimensions of the roof. Yeah.
So you just put the dimensions of the roof, then it'll cover it for you.
Correct. I just want to change this actually because this must be 0. It's the, this is the Germans. They like their south-facing roofs.
Yeah.
We like our roofs, the north-facing roofs. Right. I don't know why it takes it back to the orientation of 180. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that now. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna change it. The direction. I'm gonna change the direction. Face north then. Okay, I must work it out now. And if you go for direct data, you can say, okay, I want to fit 60 modules onto the roof. The
Orientation is 0.
is 0 and the pitch is 30 degrees, and then you can choose what type of roof it is that you've got, whether it be parallel, ventilation, audio ventilation, roof mount, tilted, right? So roof parallel. You can say if it's shaded at any stage during the day. So you can say what percentage of your array
It's going to get shaded.
is going to get shaded. Right? And then you can also set your module degradation. In this case, you're going to say it's over 20 years and your remaining power after 20 years is 80%.
It's funny that they don't make that standard.
I know, it is weird. And then once you've got that, you can, if you click here, it will, if you click there,
Yeah.
it will copy that roof. So if you have another roof
Which is similar.
which is similar, you can copy or you can put a new.
Like we've done with the other
With the
for
other-
BAT. We had all the different roofs
Roofs,
there that we
yeah.
put in.
So if you, obviously if you click copy on a roof, then it will give you the same module again and the same, everything the same again. Right? And you go to your inverter. So you must do it roof for roof. First we select the inverter. Let's say we're doing SMA.
Yeah.
And you pick what is 60 modules? 60 times 300 is 6 times 3 is 18 kilowatt.
50, yeah.
Alright?
Set price? 17.
17 TL and one of them. And on the first MPPT we're gonna put 2 strings of 20, and then we're gonna have 1 string of 20. I think it's actually 15 kilowatt only. Right?
Okay.
68 is like 17. No, it's right. No, it's right. So the ticks mean that all falls into line. if you have more and you want to copy the same inverter, let's say you have an odd number of modules in you have the same inverter but not the same amount of modules on the inverter, then you just say copy, duplicate inverter, it will duplicate it again, it will make another one, right? And in this case we need to go on to the next roof, right? So even on the next roof, let's say we go and we put in on the next roof. So there's an error, so you can check and you can see what the error is, and it says the error is that you're out of your restricted range of 120%. Nah?
Yeah.
The voltages, that all falls into line. If your voltages are wrong, these will be crosses. So all you do is you pick a bigger inverter. Okay. So once you've got that and you've got, so that's the two roofs. Now you can go and you can pick your cable, and you can either give it a total loss, which is cuck, but you rather do a layout. So you can say from the meter to the inverter, so in other words your AC cable, you can say okay, that's 15 meters and it's a 10 mil cable. Let's say 10 mil. So it will tell you your losses in watts, basically across your depending on the cable type that you took. You can say what size circuit breaker you're putting in. So you can say I'm putting in a 50 amp circuit breaker if you want to. Then you down here for your DC, you must first say what tracker you're on. So you want tracker 1. You're not using a DC isolator because it's in the inverter, or you can say it separately.
It updates the drawing.
It updates the drawing, so it will tell you that you put a DC circuit breaker in. You can say that this cable length, now this is the go and return, so in other words it's the round length, right?
Yeah.
And sure, I'm on the wrong one, let's just go on 1, sorry. Right, so 1, so you can see it's 2 times go and return, so you must actually put in all the cable. So if your cable route is 100 meters for one string, in this case here it will be 200 meters because it's 2 go and return, right? And then that will tell you what your total losses are over there. Okay, then you pick MPPT2, and you also say it's again, this is only 100 because only one input, right? 4mm copper, it tells you there's your losses on that one. Okay, go to your next one, you say okay, this is also 20 meters, also using, what did I say, 10 mil cable, the last one. I'm putting in a breaker, it is also 50 amps, and on MPP1 I'm putting on a separate one, or let's go internally in the inverter, because the front has a switch on it. The go and return is 200. MPPT2 is in the inverter still, and we have 100 meters for the go and the return, it's 4 mil cable, right? So once you've got that, it spits you out the wiring diagram.
Okay, well, one line.
No, one single line diagram, yeah.
Single line.
So with the single line diagram you can export it
To PDF.
to PDF, right? Or you can save it, and you can say what size you want to save it as.
Yeah.
Right? You can also put a legend, a block around it, and you'll see it exported my name because I put it in as the project designer right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It gave you the project, the size, and all the rest. And then you can also put the legend in, so the legend will tell you what the size you need, the DC isolator, what inverter it is, what inverter it is over there. Right? So if you want to send this to a client, you can tell him, there you go.
We have to put this into our presentations.
So Jenny probably found it now. No? Okay, so once you've got that, Now you go to the rands and cents and the
What is what is Cape Town's electricity costing for rands and cents? It's just work.
for the rands and cents.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, this is your financial calculation. So this is actually, you can say how long you expect the system to last for.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can go to income and expenditure. So I can put in what the system costs. So once I've worked out the quote for the customer, I can tell him, okay, it's 120 modules, which is.
So if you work on 20 rand a what?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to get so 120 times 3 of 5 times. I work on 20 rand a watt, 732,000, right?
But is that not for 217s?
What do you mean?
Well, we've used the 17 Sunny Tri-Power.
I used the 2 inverters here, so what? It's a system size.
34 kilowatt.
Yeah, that's what I did.
34 kilowatt.
Multiplied by 2.
But, okay.
I said the modules, I didn't go.
Okay.
So I can say the rand value, right? And the rand value is 732,000, right?
Yeah.
And then now you can say if there are any tax deductibles, you can put it in. You can either put as a rand value, you can put it as rand per kilowatt peak if you want to. You know what? You can even do a detailed entry. So if you go to a detailed entry, you can say, is it a once off payment, right? And you can say how many you get as well. And then you can say what it is. So if you get a first year rebate of whatever the 28%, or you can add that in as your rebates, right? So I can close that quickly. Yes. If you get a subsidy, which we don't, you can put in your annual operating cost. So you can either say it's a percentage of investment. So if you say that your annual operating cost is going to be 1% of your investment, then it will pull that into your return on investment. You can say what your consumption costs are, right? So what you're actually consuming, right? And any other costs. If you're financing the system to the bank, you can say, yes, I've taken out a loan.
Okay.
And I can say if it's a bank loan, I can say what the loan capital is. I can say what the percentage is that I've taken. So if I take 500,000 of that of the 732,000, I then must put in what percentage of the investment I've taken as a loan, right? And I can say I must pay back 100%. It's an installment loan. What is my interest rate? How long am I gonna pay? Right? Am I paying monthly? Am I paying quarterly? And if there is an initial period where you don't pay. So if you take a loan where for the first 2 years you don't have to pay, you only start paying after year 2, then
for us it's usually 0.
Zero, yeah, exactly. So then you can put that in, right? So let's go to no loan, right? Then on the tax, you can allow for tax. So let's say your company is, obviously your savings is coming back into your company. So you can say, okay, all of that savings, I'm gonna have to pay tax on that savings back to the receiver. Because if I'm saving, in theory, 300,000 rand a year in electricity costs, that 300,000 rand goes onto your bottom line. Therefore, you're going to be taxed on that value. So you can actually say, are you going to be what your tax rate is?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is actually a loss.
So if you say allow for tax, you can make that 0, right? And then what you can do is you can take this year for your depreciation, right? And you can say you're depreciating the system over 10 years or 5 years, and it is a linear depreciation that you want to do it over.
Gerard, dat is al heel achter.
Hey?
Dat is al heel achter.
Daar.
Okay, so you can do that and you say close. Here's your tariff. So in our case, we must make a tariff. And this is why I always told you that. You see, we made this tariff earlier, right?
Yeah.
VAT time of use tariff. You can go see what it is by clicking over here to tell you how you made the tariff and what the tariff parameters are. Now this didn't work so like for VAT because the tariff, you can't actually put the tariff monthly.
Because it's a winter summer thing.
Exactly. So if I go here and I say cancel here and I make a new one,
Yeah.
I can say it's in South Africa. No man. I can say it's city power, right? And I can say that the so the feed-in tariff is the same as, so I don't know what the tariff is here. But let's say it's $150.
Yeah.
Right? They compensate you for 100% of the electricity that you feed in. Right? You can say the type of installation, roof mount. You can call it CA tariff. You can say when it's from, it's valid for 20 years, and you can add the tariff here as well. And so it's from 0, and this will be the same then, 1.5, and it's from 9%. Okay, for that. So now we're going to pick that tariff. Okay. CA tariff, and then you can say inflation rate for feed-in per year. So you can say, well, at the moment Eskom's asking for 20%, and tariff rate also increases 20% per annum. You can say, okay, that's good. And then click there, and now it does a full 365-day assessment for you. I'll just push pause with you. I'm going to go next door. And use your feed in. Right, and then you can pick the graph that you want. The production forecast. The one per inverter. Go to the overview again. And then here's the presentation, so you can go.
You can all export these things.
Wiring diagram, yields, what we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Return on investment, full cash flow table on where you're spending the money, how the money is being spent, when the money comes back in. For over a 21-year period with full cash flow. Right. The data sheets pop in as well. Right. And this is all configurable by clicking on configure. So you can actually say, if you click on configure, what you want to actually put into the report.
Yeah.
So the report doesn't have to be the same all the time.
Yeah.
So because this is server based, you can actually set the configuration of the report and then work from there.
Okay, but if the different people log in from the different users, is this profile set up for everybody, or is this profile set up for the user that logged in?
I don't know how the remote desktop server works. I really don't. That's why I don't know. But no matter where I've logged in, so far the VAT time of use tariff has come up, which means it is the same program running. You can change the language if you want.
Yeah.
There's no Afrikaans, so.
Sorry, Lena.
And then you can export it into a Word document if you want to edit it, PDF, right?
Yeah.
And or you can hourly values and you can simulate. And I mean, this actually gives you a lot of information, right? This file is normally like 15 megabytes, just the CSV file, because it gives you literally every day for the month an hourly figure of when you're generating your power.
Wow.
Right? Again, that you can also change the values depending on what you want. Right? And that's what I did earlier with the BAT, because BAT was obviously time of use, and I exported it into CSV file, and then I went to pull the data that comes off this graph, and I pulled that into the ROI file, and I put that into the ROI file to give me the more accurate ROI.
Okay. And I need to save, obviously file save as, I guess.
File save as, yeah. File, you can go
Save
project as.
Yes. Just say test file.
Test. Right. This calls for me like all the time. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Press pause. We'll do the rest.